Hi, and welcome to So You Want to Be an Author, Now What? I'm Nikki Woods, and the whole purpose of this is to help you, once you become an author, know or learn or explore the possibilities of what happens next. So how you can, okay, I'm going to start over because my computer is chiming. Nikki Woods, and I am so thankful that you are going to be a part of this 3-day tele-summit that's going to share some information, give you some possibilities and some knowledge that you would need based on being an author, what you can do to leverage your book and the possibilities of how to take your business, your book, your brand to the next level based on being an author. So I have a whole lineup of this fabulous authors, best-selling authors, who in their own right have done some really, really phenomenal things and done different things, which is what's really exciting. Each one has done something different to leverage their book and to kind of establish themselves in an arena in some sort of way. So we are going to, like I said, be talking to some fabulous people. There's 7 authors besides myself. It's 3 days. 2 each day. They call them 2-a-day in sports. We're doing 2-a-days when it comes to being an author. This time, which is the early time, noon Central or 1 p.m. Eastern, and then again at 6 p.m. Central, 7 p.m. Eastern on Monday, which is today, Tuesday, and then Wednesday. And so I am really, really excited. I am excited for you. I'm excited for me, and it's just going to be a phenomenal 3 days. So just some housekeeping items that I want everybody to be aware of. First off, Zara is going to be our first speaker, but I'll introduce her in a second. But I want to introduce you to April Frank Hunt. Now, things happen when you're playing at a certain level. And one of the things that has happened with me is that a mandatory end-of-the-year meeting for the Tom Joyner Morning Show that kind of coincided with this call. And as opposed to me putting off the call or delaying the call, I really wanted to honor your schedules as well. And April was kind enough to agree to host the call in case I couldn't join ahead of time. So we're recording this intro. I'm going to finish the meeting, and, I'm going to be back as soon as I can. But I wanted to make sure that, like I said, I honored your time and that we were able to continue this call. So April is here with me, and soon we'll be bringing on Zara. But like I said, just some housekeeping items. I sent out an email before where we had all of the speakers' Twitter handles listed. So hopefully if you hadn't been following them already, you're following them now. But when you share about them, just please include their Twitter handle so that they know how much they're impacting you and that they're sharing good stuff and that you support them in what they're doing. But also use the hashtag. Be an author. That's hashtag be an author, and that way I can track everything that's being shared socially because I want to answer questions. I want to retweet you guys. I just want to make sure that we're supporting everybody socially. So I will, tell everybody the hashtags again, the Twitter handles again when I introduce each author. But if you could double check that would be great as well. Also, we'll be taking questions in the private Facebook group, so make sure that you are connected there. I've sent out that link a few times, and I see that most of you have joined. But if you haven't done that, take a quick 2 seconds before I bring Zara up to make sure that you take care of that. Other than that, I think that we're pretty much ready to get started. April, how are you?
I'm doing well. Thank you for having me. I'm super thrilled. I know you had to get through your spiel, so I'm super thrilled. I'm excited. I think this is going to be a phenomenal opportunity for those of you who either want to write a book or for those of you who have already written your book and you're like, now what? And so, Nikki, I think that this is a great opportunity for people to see the possibility and what they can do because, as you and I both know, sometimes people write a book and it just sits there and, they're passionate, but they haven't reached the amount of success. And I think by you putting this on and showing people that you can build an entire business, you can create a movement, you can go from dreamer to creator to author to playwright to actor to, all kinds of things. There's all kinds of possibilities if that's what you want. And so I think by you creating this platform, I think it's an amazing thing for people to be able to learn from real people who are doing this on a daily basis. So I'm ready to roll.
Awesome. And like you said, I mean, I think it's great that we have such a mix of people, but the one thing that everybody has in common is that they've used this book to further their business or further their brand. So we have Zara Green, who's coming up, and I'll tell you a little bit more about her, but then later tonight we have comedian and actor Finesse Mitchell, who I explained on one email. I was introduced to Finesse through his book. I didn't even know he was a comedian or an actor. I thought he was a relationship expert because that's what his book was about. And then I learned that he also was a comedian and an actor, and he was really able to use this book to open himself up to a different audience. So I thought that was really cool. And then tomorrow you will meet Stephanie Bavaro, who really has learned how to collaborate with other people to use their brand to help build her brand and vice versa. So that's really awesome.
Yeah, Stephanie's amazing. I love her.
Yeah, Stephanie is really, really cool, and she is so intentional about what she does that I just love it. Christian Keys, he is an actor, he's a producer, and he's just written his first novel, but he has already started to put in motion the film. So I'm really excited to talk to Christian because, you know, I'm in the middle of writing my first screenplay that'll go to production in 2015. So I'm going to pick his brain about that. Abiola Abrams. Yeah, well, you saw the picture of Christian, so you know, that's never a hardship. I think this is probably one of the best looking tele-summits that I've ever
I know, right?
It's like everybody is gorgeous. Abiola Abrams, she's the author of the Sacred Bombshell Handbook of Self-Love and Self-Worth, and she is a coach, and she is, I mean, just an amazing woman, and how she's been able to really take that spirituality, I guess, and self-esteem piece and put it in a book and build a business around that is really, really incredible. Danielle Winningham is going to be on Wednesday, and she is just, I tell you, she loves everybody to greatness. I've never met a woman who can love somebody so hard and help them be successful at the same time. So we're going to talk to her, and then we're going to delve more into your story too, April, so I'm really excited about that. And I'll save your spiel for then because you know how I feel about you. You are one of those who, I mean, you're no nonsense, but I've never had so much fun being pushed around ever. So I love you for that. So let's talk about Zara. Now Zara is really Zara has a really cool story. Zara Green, she's half of the Grown Zone couple, and she has just gotten her first book out there, Loving in the Grown Zone. And I am just super excited to have her because they have been able to take content that they used on social media, that they, you know, on YouTube and Twitter, and they were able to put this in a book. She is part of, as I said, you know, a duo, and her other half is equally as passionate, Alfred Edmonds Jr., and it's just so exciting to see not only one person doing it, but then two people doing it together, and both representing one voice. She is a New Orleans native. She is also known for her popular Grown is Sexy and Punani principles, content and products which focus on teaching healthy relationship choices founded on love of self, respect of others, and taking personal responsibility for securing both. So I am super excited that she is going to be here to talk to us today about how we can really take some things that we've already started developing and continue to take them to the other level, to another level, to a greater level, to a higher level. Her Twitter is Zara Green. That's her handle, @Zara Green, to make sure that you're following her and any of the nuggets that she's about to share, that you use her Twitter handle or you use the hashtag Be an Author. That'll work on any of the social media platforms. And if you have questions for Zara, make sure that you're posting them in the Facebook group so that everybody can see them, and that we can also relay them to Zara. But we will be taking some questions and answers at the end of this call as well. So with that said, I'm going to turn it over to April and Zara. Thank you so much, Zara.
You're welcome, Nikki. My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Yes, Mrs. Zara. So, thank you for that. Nikki actually just texted me. She's going to be joining us here in the next few minutes. This is April Franks Hunt and Miss Zara Green, co-author of Loving in the Grown Zone, which I have not read yet, but I do have. But my assistant did steal it and take it home, and she said it was a raving read.
She sent me an email. She told me she stole your book.
Yes, and so I heard it was amazing. It was the talk of our holiday party this past Friday, and the different tools and things that you were sharing in that book. But before we get to it, why don't you just share, how do you feel now? This is your first book, and what is the feeling that you have that you've accomplished this, and was it as hard as you thought?
Well, for starters, it's actually my third book.
Okay.
I have two others. They're audio books, but they and in a different area. It's more temperament based. Okay. But this is the first tangible page-turning book, and going through this process was very different than the other two, and it feels amazing. It's and the way that it all came about, you could not have told me that it would have happened this way. So what it taught me was what I've learned in other areas of my life. Intention is what really brings about fruition. So we had the intention of doing this thing, and we knew that we had a message, and we weren't really sure how that was going to come about, but we knew we needed this message out, and we needed to do it as soon as we could. So it happened quicker than we ever thought it could have happened, and intention just kind of took over.
Very good. Very good. I want you all, while you're listening, while you're tweeting, while you're writing, taking those notes, make sure that you do take notes and that you take this to heart and know that, you know, there are some possibilities for you. And so Zara is going to definitely be giving you some specifics. But this entire tele-summit is about behind the scenes and what happens after you've written it, or if you want to write, what are the possibilities and different ways that you can actually develop and cultivate that book. And so Zara, just with that, congratulations, first of all, but just with
Thank you.
With setting the intention, which I believe is really important, and knowing what you want and what you intend to do, the way that Nikki just mentioned that you all developed this book, it was from content that was already out there. Is that right?
That is absolutely correct. The way that we did this book was through blog posts that we did with the magazine, and we took 2 writing vacations to write this book while we were writing this blog, by the way. But we took 2 writing vacations to write the book, and both of those turned into, well, let's just go out and see the town. Because putting your nose to the grind is not that easy. And then we looked up a year later and realized we have a book because every blog post was complete.
Right.
So that's how we were able to repurpose that content, and we just took that, turned it into a book, and and what we realized was from all the other things that we've got going on, we've got 2 more books now that are already being formulated from, again, other content.
That's really good. So for those of you out there who you may be writing blog, even sometimes I see people's Facebook posts could be an entire blog or article. I think people miss the fact that they're already communicating in their lane that they want to operate in and don't realize that you can actually shift that into one concentrated place into your book, and which is exactly what you all have done, and now you're working on something else. It's just smart. You already created it, and not everyone who's following you may have seen every blog post or read every article, but now they get that opportunity to learn more, and then all the new stuff you added in as a result of, you writing the book as well.
That is exactly right. So what happened is we took the blog posts And of course, because now they're not just blog posts. They're not, and our work is not for any particular ethnic group, although we were writing for a particular ethnic group. So we took it and we neutralized it. And so there are some things that you may have to do in order to clean your stuff up and get it ready to be published. But for the most part, if that stuff is done, you can hand that to an editor. I was speaking to somebody earlier before the call started that and every book needs an editor. So even after you have certain content, you may be able to take whatever that content is and on whatever platform and hand it to an editor, and that becomes your book. Something else we do is we have a radio show. So often our radio show turns into a blog post, or vice versa. Our radio show, I have transcribers that I give the radio show to and say so that they can put it in written form, and then we take that, and from there it becomes all kinds of stuff. It becomes additional blog posts. We pull out Twitter. We create days of Twitter feeds out from it, Facebook posts, memes, all kinds of things come out of that. Something else that I'm loving doing right now is pulling clips from our radio show and turn them into videos with memes.
Mm. And I think being repurposing in this arena is everything. I think sometimes people feel really overwhelmed there, and share with me if this was your experience on your 2 writing retreats where y'all didn't write.
Right.
You just get overwhelmed with how do I do, I don't have, what am I writing about? You get this so-called writer's block, when really we've already been talking the talk. If you have an idea out there, or an expertise or a story you want to share, usually you've already been doing it. You've already been doing it. You just haven't been looking at what all you've been doing in a concise way where you can put those things together. And Zara is a perfect example. Her and her partner, Alfred Edmond Jr., perfect example of repurposing content that is relevant and that obviously you can tweak once you get to that point. So these are amazing points. Can you share with us, because I know because I'm following the Grown Zone, and you all should be too, Zara, I know that your book actually came out early. You were expecting, I thought, a Christmas baby, and it came out before Thanksgiving, I think. Can you share just a little bit about the whole publishing experience?
Yes, I can. Well, it turned out that this is actually a huge blessing for us. Mm-hmm. Now, when it first happened, I got to tell you, I was not a happy camper. I'm talking to the distributing arm of the publishers, and they tell me, "Oh, how excited are you?" And I'm like, "Well, yeah, I'm okay. I'll be really excited when all of these parts start to align and everything is, clear and we know exactly, what our release date is and all of that when we're working with the publicists and all of that." So I'm still in book promoting and I'm book writing and book gathering and getting book ready mode, and they tell me it's available. I was like, "What do you mean it's available?" "No, it's up. It's available. It's available where?" "On Amazon, Barnes & Noble." I about lost my mind. "What do you mean it's available? Like people can buy it?" Well, yes, they can buy it now. Alfred had to call. He had to pull me off that ledge. I'm like, "Oh my God, I'm about to lose my mind on them." And he's going, "Wait a minute, calm down." In fact, he told them, "We're going to have to call you back because we're on a conference call. I'm losing it. I'm just going. I'm going off somewhere." He called me back and said, "Wait a minute now, Miss Queen of things happen as they ought." See, we need some people around us jerking our chain sometime. I'm always talking about things happen as they ought. So he jerked my chain. He said, "Wait a minute, Miss Queen the Queen of things happen as they ought. Let's look at this thing and see how this can work to our advantage."
Yeah.
So what we've done is we've considered this our soft launch because the book is still not going. We're not going to hit our hard launch until March. Mm-hmm. But in our and that will be to the audience that does not know us. So we've got our audience who knows us, and so this audience buying the book, we're getting reviews now. So when the publicists really hit, and we're doing our media blitz and all of that stuff, the people who don't know us will then go to look at the reviews, because that's what we do when we're on the fence about buying a book. We go to see what everybody else is saying. Yeah. And so we're cultivating this audience now and having people who are reading the book, their lives are being changed. It's giving them, food for thought. They're seeing that life does not have to, relationships are not an issue of chance, but an issue of choice and making some better decisions. And so this is working to our advantage.
Okay,
so,
now hold on, because you giving some really good stuff, and I want to make sure people aren't missing it. So just in case you all missed what she said and her excitement, because you made me stand up. I'm standing up in my office. This is a strategy. When you decide to be an author, there is a strategy, and you look at it and say, because sometimes there's a lot of people on the line right now, Zara, who have written their book, and it's kind of stagnant, or they didn't do the things the way that they wanted to. Mm-hmm. So what I love about what you're saying is you can recreate that strategy with something that was unexpected. So it was unexpected that the book was going to be available soon, but you're making that work. You're creating a soft launch period, getting people excited, writing those reviews, which gives you then time to plan. You hear that, listeners? That gives you time to plan your real super-duper launch, right, in the spring. So for those of you listening, take note of that. Sometimes people get so in a hurry to launch their book, and they don't even have a following. And I equate you having a book and you birthing a book just like giving birth. People had 9 months to get excited about what it is you were doing. They were expecting it. You didn't just walk into work one day and say, I had a baby this morning. It has been a continual process of people getting excited, and is it a boy or a girl, and when is the baby shower, and what's the due date, and are those real contractions? So you want people to have that same energy around your book. So make sure you all listen to that. So if you did write your book and it didn't go well, don't feel bad about that. Implement a new strategy. Which is what Zara is saying. Implement a new strategy. It wasn't part of the initial plan, but this is the now plan, and I love that. So continue. I just had to get that in. And please know we are going to have some Q&A. We will have some Q&A. So if you have questions for Zara or Nikki or what have you, write them down, and we will definitely get to them. And I see your tweets out there, so make sure you keep those rolling as well. Zara, you were getting ready to make a second point that I jumped in on, but I really love the fact that you all, are now positioning and realize the value in getting the reviews, taking your time, because there's a bigger picture, right?
Yes. There always, there should be. There should be for everybody a larger goal. Our intent when we wrote this book was New York Times bestseller. And it's not just for bragging rights. It's because when you are a New York Times bestseller, for starters, nobody can take that away from you. Secondly, it opens up all kinds of doors for you, but it ain't easy to get on it. So when you are thinking New York Times bestseller, then you've got to do your homework. You've got to make sure that you are cultivating relationships with people. You've got to make sure that people trust the information they get from you. You've got to have a pyramid that on the bottom is free stuff. Where are people getting the free content from you to know what it is that you offer, so that when your book does come out, that they will drop the money to buy the book? And then what? Okay, so you wrote a book. Now what? What else is there? So a book is not just about the book. The book is more about the marketing, and so there has to be the business behind the book, or the purpose for the book. So I know a lot of people who write books, and I've been in a lot of basements and garages that are filled with them. because they did not have the plan for what they were going to do with the book, how they were going to sell the book. The fact that you don't have to today stockpile your books. If you there are different channels you can take. That's distribution channels where it's all drop ship. You don't have to have them filled with in your garage. So it's a learning curve.
Yeah.
And I got to say this. Can I say this?
Please.
There is nothing wrong with self-publishing. In fact, we went through Hay House's self-publishing arm, which gave us, and we did. And you got to know, you've got to have your purpose behind why you're doing what you're doing, in order to know which avenue is best for you. Because we could have gone with traditional publishing. Alfred, my partner, is a best-selling, an award-winning journalist, and has been for the past 30 years. And he's got expertise where publishers have been coming after him for years, wanting him to write a book. So we could have gone with traditional publishers. We went with Hay House because our message is very neutral, and we want to impact we want to change the conversation about love. What love is, what people call love, and get people really thinking about relationships from the standpoint of honor, esteem, and respect. If it's not honor, if honor, esteem, and respect is not relationship, stop calling it love. So we're teaching from that perspective. So we were very intentional about going with Hay House.
Wow.
We knew exactly what we were doing by going to Hay House. Now, Hay House didn't know us, but we know the impact we're going to have going through their self-publishing arm, that we're getting their attention, already getting their attention.
Now, I hope you all caught on to that. In regards to self-publishing, I think that there are, like you said, you can be as strategic using your self-publishing, because that gives you the flexibility. Okay, that gives you the flexibility, because guess what? If however long it takes you to get picked up, let's say by a large publishing company, you don't have the flexibility to create the strategy the way you want it based on your intent.
Absolutely.
You have to do what the publisher says. Now, there's a win-win. There's pros and cons on both sides. But I will say, as a self-published author as well, the flexibility and the freedom of your project, I think, is important when you have other goals. And so I think, I want to bring Nikki on, because she just texted me, and she is out of her meeting, so we're excited to have her back on running the show. But
Fantastic.
I just want to say that, look beyond just being an author. This is about building a business. This is about building a business, leaving a legacy beyond the book. The book is a positioning tool. It does several things. It gets whatever off your chest, whatever information you need to share with the world, whether that's a story so people can laugh, cry, or be indifferent, whether that's information they need to change their lives or their businesses. So you get to connect on that level, and you get that off of you. So you have released, your knowledge into the marketplace. But then you can take that a step further if that's what you want to do. And listen, sometimes when you write a book, it's just to get it off your chest. But then it's what's next. And that's just what this whole tele-summit is about. So you want to be an author. Now what? This is the now what. So I hope that you are following us on Twitter, taking notes, writing down your questions for Nikki and Zara, so that you could be prepared and equipped with information that people aren't telling you. Because people aren't telling you what happens after the book is published. And that, it's a hustle. But how can it not be? How can you develop something that is going to sustain you and brand you in a way where you know where you want to be? So I just had to get that out. I'm loving this conversation. Nikki, are you there?
I am here.
She's
I'm
back.
Listening with the fan. I've been listening for like 10 minutes because it's been phenomenal, and I think that the conversation, every time I hear it, I think how needed it is. So I'm glad that the lady Z is here to kind of break it down for us, because it's fascinating, and I'm glad that you're making all of these points clear, because everybody needs to hear it. I think we all write books for what happens after the book. I mean, I don't think anybody really writes a book. That's what journals are for. But I don't think anybody really writes a book for it just to sit on their shelf and, you know, just to look back at them. I think we all write it for some reason. But what's next? And I'm glad we're having this conversation. Thank you, April. And I want you to hang out with us as we continue.
Thank you, April.
You're welcome. So tell me, what do you think is going to be the next step? You're going to have the hard launch in March, you said, but beyond that, what are your hopes for the book?
I mentioned this a little earlier, but my hope for the book is really to change the conversation about what love is. Now, if we are effective in doing that, then this book it's just the beginning of sequential books in the same vein, but also live events all over the place. That's where strategy comes in, where there are many where webinars come in, where we are having conversations everywhere about this. So the strategy is beyond just writing a book. It's about the purpose for the book.
And so, do you see more books? I was talking to another author, and Eric Jerome Dickey, I think, says this a lot too, is that the first book is kind of just to do the first book. The second book, you kind of start to make some noise, but you really don't get famous as a writer until you write the third book. So have you all thought out that far?
Well, Nikki, I understand that's the standard, but I'm shooting for the stars with the first one. I'm shooting for the stars with the first one. The first one has to be the one to change the conversations. The second and third one will be a no-brainer. By then, Grown Zone is going to be a household name.
Oh, well, absolutely. Absolutely.
That's the intent. That's my intent. And that was our intent for writing the book. And so I think that we were very clear about our message, and it wasn't that. And let me back up so I'm not sounding so cocky. I know who I have on my team is an award-winning journalist. The writing, I know the writing on the book is the bomb. We have to figure out how to write. So the writing, the editing, all of that is very tight. And so I do expect that this one is going to be the game changer. In terms of when it is compared to all the other relationship books, and we've read them all, it's a different conversation.
So how many books do you think you read? Because I think other people are surprised. There was one thing that I used to say when I first started writing, I guess, quote unquote, commercially. And that's like, I can't read other people's stuff when I write. And then I realized I can't become a better writer until I'm learning what other people are doing. And to do that, you have to read. And then
yes, you do.
In a book by Steven Spielberg, and he says, if you're not reading, you're not writing.
Absolutely.
And so it's changed the way I've looked at. How many books do you think that you read in researching
or
just seeing what was out there?
How about if it's a relationship book, I just buy it. I just buy it and I keep them here, and there are some that I pick up and I read and I'm going, oh, this is great. There are others I pick up and I say, oh God, I need to get through this because people are talking about it, but I'm having a difficult time stomaching it. So it takes me a little longer. But I have to. I'm not doing my due diligence if I don't know what's out there. If I'm going to change the conversation about love and relationships, I have to know what people are digesting. And so the stuff that's hitting the bestsellers lists, the books that are being purchased the most, I have to know what that is. I have to know what the baseline is of people's experiences. Mm-hmm. So I think that's part of my homework. That's part of my due diligence. I can't get in the space of expert if I don't know what's out there.
Very good. Very good. Now, we are going to be taking questions. So you can hit *6 to get in line, and you can ask questions to Zara as we move through. I know that everybody has a lot of questions. I see it on Twitter, and some people are sending me emails with questions. But if you're on the line, we definitely want to get to you first, and make sure that you hit *6 so that we can start asking questions. Now, the biggest question that I had, and I'm not sure if you brought this up with April or not, or if this has been discussed, but how was it writing with someone else? Because that's really like one of the biggest, I think, challenges is writing with someone. Because I have a writing partner, so I know, and it's like it's a daily walk. But how was that writing with somebody else?
Well, I got to tell you, because he is the award-winning writer, and because he is a master editor. I mean, he was editor-in-chief of Black Enterprise for many, many years. I turn that over. I write and I give it to that brother and say, now make it nice. Clean it up for me. So we talk. We're always talking ideas. We come up with our ideas together. So we come up with when we're writing posts, and we know we want to hit it out of the park because we've had many posts that have gone viral and still hitting crazy numbers. It's because we sit and we have conversations about it, and together we sit and while we're talking, I might start it. But then, and he's got one of those minds. It's always good to really know your partners, because I'm one of those big picture people who just kind of have brain dumps on paper. So I literally throw up on paper. I mean, every single thing in my brain, I spit it out on paper. And he's good at coming and just cleaning it up and making it all just kind of flow. So we have different strengths. And so our writing, the reason we do so well with writing together is because we're on the same page with our belief systems where relationships are concerned. So that, I believe, is why we do so well in this space.
That is awesome. And I definitely agree. Like, even with my editor, with my writing partner, I mean, I tell people we go together. It's like that's it. Relationship and how you have to manage and respect, I think, each other's strengths. Kind of manage what they're not so strong at. So that's a really great point. So we're going to go ahead and take some calls. We're going to open up the phone lines. The first one that we're going to take, I guess the last 4 digits is they're 6515. 6515. Are you there?
Yes. Hello?
Hey, how are you? What's your name?
Hi. This is Carlin Goodwin, one of Zara's good friends. How are you doing?
What's up, Miss Carlin? I'm glad you're
here. I will keep my questions short because when you just left here, I know you answered a lot of them while you were here in New Orleans. But just listening in, I had a question about how many pages did it start out, Living in the Grown Zone, and, to get edited down to what the fantastic book is now? That's my first question.
Oh, well, first of all, thanks for calling in, Carlin. Good to hear you. The book, I have no idea how many pages it was to begin with. I don't know, because while it makes sense to think that a book might start off really big and then you scale it back. Because of the way we wrote the book, there were some things that we had to add. So it didn't. I think every book is going to be different. I think there are so many different variables that each person has to factor in. That's going to be different from the next. That you just expect your experience to be unique. Get intentional about what it is that you want to do, and keep on moving. As long as you keep moving, and as long as you are intentional about it, then it's going to work its way out the way it needs to work its way out for you. And don't have page number on your mind, because people with page number on their mind is usually thinking about how much money they're going to make because they have more pages in it. And anything you do with money in mind is just not going to be your best.
And my last question, because I know this will be good for the group, how did you put your editing team together? who edited it for you, for those people that don't have Alfred.
Well, and I got to say this, y'all. You heard me say it before. Everybody needs an editor. Even best editors need an editor. Yeah. So Alfred does have, and he's got a team of folk.
Exactly.
I just turned that over to him, and when it came back, I was like, "Ooh, this good." So have people on your team who have the strengths that you need. And we've got to get better about collaborating. Stop sitting in a hole isolated by yourself. You've got to get better at collaborating. And, that when you fear collaborating, then, you're coming from a space of fear, it's hard to reach your goals. Just pull people on your team. Ask folks to join you.
Okay. Well, thank you very much for answering. Thank you, Nikki, for putting this together.
Oh, thank you.
You're welcome.
You're a part of it. And I'm glad that you brought that up, because that is one of my biggest, calls to action. Not only to learn how to collaborate with people and ask people to help you with where you're weak, but just recognizing the importance of having an editor. Having your mom read it, having your best friend, having your teacher from high school, all that is good. But everything that we need, requires a certain amount of skill, and editing is a skill. It's not just, you can read and you can spot where things are wrong. Editing is a real skill, and I think that a good editor can take a good book and turn it into a great book. And so I'm glad that you brought that up, because that's one point I think a lot of people miss, especially in self-publishing. They miss the importance of editing.
It makes all the difference. From a just because you self-published, it don't need to look like or read like it came out of your kitchen. It's just not okay.
And I just have to jump in here too, just real quick, Nikki. One of the things that I love, Zara, that you mentioned that you all were talking about earlier was the collaboration piece and how important it is. Just imagine, for those of you out there, because I think a lot of us entrepreneurial spirited people, have this Lone Ranger syndrome, and I think collaborating is just smart. It shortens your learning curve. You don't have to be great at everything. You don't have to be great at everything. Can somebody please tweet that? I do not have to be great at everything.
That's real.
I mean, you just don't, because there's some people, just like Zara said, that's what Alfred does. And she does this other thing, which both of those things are needed for the end product, right? Yes. So the objective has to be bigger than our individual egos to say that we did it all on our own, right?
That's right.
I think that's a really important piece, that if we start collaborating, and I just have to spill the beans because I got to run here in a minute, but before Nikki takes her next question for Zara, I just have to say, Nikki is on the cusp of doing something really super phenomenal, and I can't wait for her collaborative book project that she's going to be telling y'all about.
Ooh, then she come dropping that on me. I don't even know. Ooh,
I can't wait, because this is the deal. When you're positioning yourself, the biggest challenge with being an author is getting people to buy into you and to care about what you're writing about, and to develop that platform to stand on. So when you do say, I'm launching this, I'm doing this, I'm going to be here, people show up for you because you're giving out good information. So to be a part of Nikki's collaborative book project that's coming up for entrepreneurs, both men and women, okay? So please know that, there is a method to the madness, and there's an opportunity for those people who are looking to connect their caboose with a larger global brand to take them where they want to go. So make sure that, you all are not only in the process, but paying attention to the process. This entire summit is a learning experience for every single person on it. This is something that you can duplicate. This is something you are in school right now. You're not just learning about what they're sharing, but pay attention to the process and what Nikki has put together as well. That's really important. So I'm going to give the email address out. I'm going to jump ahead. Look, I got a thumbs up via text, so I can spill the beans a little bit more. But make sure, if you're interested in joining Nikki in her book, which I will be as well, in her collaboration project about the entrepreneurial journey and some other things that she'll get into, then email her at beinthebook2@gmail.com. So it's all spelled out, real English, beinthebook2@gmail.com. Or you can send her a tweet as well, or message her on Facebook. But jump in and know that collaborating is how people are getting ahead. That's what you're seeing all over the place. Even in Zara's project, her and Alfred are collaborating together. Why? Because 2 brains are better than 1. 5 is better than 1. Right? When you get the right culmination of things going on. So I just had to say that before the next question.
Thank you, April.
I mean,
my goodness.
People want to get ahead, but you have to be willing to raise your hand and stop hiding. You know, if you're on this call, it's because there is something in you that is waiting to burst out. And Zara is just putting it eloquently. You got to set that intention and do what you got to do. So I'm going to unmute the next caller, Nikki, and then I'm going to mute myself.
And then she's going to mute herself.
You know when you're friends with somebody, because they really will tell all your stuff before you're ready. 8634 is the next caller.
Hi, my name is Pamela Hawkins, and Zara, the first thing I want to say is I went to Amazon and I'm ordering your book. It starts off so phenomenal.
Oh, awesome.
Thank you. And when I first got married, you were around, really. It would have kept me from unhealthy 22 years of being married. And I tell people now, for me, divorce has never been better. Now I'm actually living. My children are grown. But in reference to that, just phenomenal.
Thank you very much.
My question is, I had a passion. It wasn't until after the divorce that all these things were birthed in me, and I have a Christian foundation. And I was a minister, just, journey that I took in my life. A lot of my writing is Christian-based. Now, what I'm hearing is the platforms. I did develop, I have my Facebook page, and I have my Facebook page for my book, which is still Christian-based, where I give encouragement, and it's growing. I have 1,500 followers. It's growing. I have my website with my book, and it was a series of books, and the first one I made the mistake of releasing it too soon. I went through Author House. No good editing. It was horribly, thrown out there prematurely because I had the passion, and instead of giving up, what I realized is that sometimes a failure can be a good thing. It's a stepping stone. So, and finishing up, which I just finished up, book 2 of the series. I used to do blogs. I had over a year worth of blogs. So you just kind of confirmed recently it was placed on my heart to take them all down, put them aside because they can be a devotional or something for women. So that's what I'm actually working on. I'm finishing up the second book, and I learned that even though my manuscript is done, let it sit for a while. Go back and edit it before I even give it to an editor because I've noticed, anything, it's just minutiae. I have a lot of extra stuff. But I'm thankful for this call because what you're showing is that the editing process, the nuggets, the fact that I had a lot of things over the years that I had been writing, and those actually can be compiled into a book worthy of publishing. Mm-hmm. Now, I guess my question is, how hard is it to come back from, say, the first book not being edited great? I've had a couple people, some people who brought in and said, it was a really good storyline. I would have loved to see, better editing. So, I mean, my brand is sort of getting out there as a Christian-based writer, and I'm starting to direct it not just, with angelic and supernatural stuff, but more geared toward women and what we go through as women. And, I mean, I've compiled information from women that have gone through some really horrific things and overcome them and turned that into a novel, to protect some of them, with their permission, of course. But how do I take in transition or continue to build on the platform of the things I write about are real life things? Like everything's not a bed of roses, but you can overcome them and learn something from that.
Okay.
Right. Well, you're asking several questions, so let's take one at a time.
I'm sorry. I'm like...
No, it's okay. No, it's okay, but I don't want to run out of time before we get to answer your question. So,
well, Nikki, I'll take 2 minutes.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Nikki, I'll take 2 minutes and address a couple things here and answer her all at the same time.
Good for
Pamela, thank you for your question. First of all, there is no such thing as mistakes and failure. So that the trainer in me has to address that. Mistake is a myth. Failure is fiction. Everything happens as it ought. You knew what you knew when you knew it, and you're not going to fret what happened then, because all of that experience brought you to where you are right now, and everything you're learning right now is putting you in the space to be able to take all of those experiences, including the books you've written, in order to repurpose them to make them better, because you're better now, so you can make all that stuff better. And what I'd say is, don't take your posts down. Just make them better. Take the information, make it better, leave all that stuff out there, make sure that they are tagged properly so that they can be found. That's all that's all SEO for you. So don't take that stuff down, leave it out there. And as for being divorced and having, setbacks and all that stuff, girl, please. I've been married and divorced twice. Open has two. We've got four marriages of divorces total under our belts. So, those are all just experiences. I'm a certified minister. Look, life happens. What we're supposed to be doing is getting better. We don't look back at life and say, oh, look, if things have been so hard. Life happens. Life does not happen to you unless you lay down and pitch camp in the middle of a situation. Don't pitch camp. Keep moving.
Amen.
I agree. I mean, I think that if you even
I'm there. I guess I made the statement like the thing that I dreaded the most, I had to face, and it wasn't as bad as I thought. Like, I'm moving forward.
That's always the case.
So,
all you got to do is have there's people wait for confidence to come for them to do things. When you got to courage up. When you courage up, confidence comes, but you have to step into things in order to have the confidence to continue.
Amen.
All right. Thank you for your call. We're still going to take some questions. We still have time. We have about 7 minutes, but I want to honor everybody's time. *6 to get in line for questions. But I want to piggyback on what we were saying about editing. I think we do put books out too soon, but there are even best-selling authors who are with major publishing houses that put notes at the back of their book and says, if you see a mistake, email me so that I can correct it. I think the biggest thing that I've learned about corrected versions of your book is that you just need to do a new edition and make sure that people know that this is a new edition and this is a better edition. And I think people will understand that. I think that it's when we don't, acknowledge that maybe something wasn't all that copacetic with the first book that we get in trouble. I mean, my book went through probably 6 editings, if not more, and I will still find it. Like, oh my gosh, there's still a mistake.
How about book? I still know that I know the 2 that's missing from our book. There's still that word T-O. Now when I open it up and I read it, and y'all gonna find it too. So when you see that 2-O, I'm just like, really? We missed the 2-O? Really? So it still happens even after you have the masters go through the stuff. But it shouldn't be blatant. It shouldn't just be a whole bunch of that kind of thing. Editing is necessary.
No, it isn't. I think that's, like you said, once you know better, you do better, and that's what this call is all about, because I do think that there are some readers that can be unforgiving when it comes to books that are put out there, and I think that a lot of times we don't get the message just because of the way it's delivered. So we want to make sure that you are doing your best, but if you've already done it, then you just need to learn from it and do better next time. So.
Yes, agreed.
So before we wrap up, any final thoughts?
Oh, wow. Well, you know what? I really hate it when these hours go by so fast. Yeah. I feel like it flew. Final thought. If you've got a book in you, if there is something that is beckoning at you, first of all, understand your why. When you understand your why, then your path is illuminated by purpose. So get clear about why you're doing it And don't worry about trying to figure out how it's all going to happen. Just keep doing what you know to do, connecting with people, learning from others, and becoming the expert in your genre. I think that's how you do it.
I think I agree. I mean, I posted a quote today that, you can't do anything that if you don't have some deep-seated belief or passion for, as you said, why you're writing this book. Because if you don't have it, your readers aren't going to have it for the book that's written. So, I literally tell people, a book can keep me up at night. Characters can keep me awake at night. And that's the way it should be. It's like you have all these things going around in your head that just have to get out there. And I think the other quote that I love from, I'm pretty sure it's Iyanla, is that, she says that not only does a book heal you, but a book will indeed heal the world.
Yeah.
That's why we write. And I think that's why everybody.
That's why I write.
That's why you write.
That's why I write. I write because I feel the healing when I'm writing. It's like if people can just get this, and most most of my writing is from a space of self-love. So if people can just love themselves enough, that's the kind of stuff that keeps me writing. I need people to get to the point that they are loving themselves enough to make some better decisions for themselves. Honey, that's what keeps me up at night.
I love it. Thank you so much. I can't say enough about you there. Every time I call, you are right there, by yourself and with Alfred. So to both of you, I just love you to death, and I'm so proud of everything that you guys have done.
Thank you so much. And you've always been right there with us too, Nikki. As we're demonstrating to them what we said earlier, you don't need to do it by yourself.
Absolutely.
But always be ready to support others. I got to say that too. Support others, back others, help others. You can't be expecting things and you're not willing to do it for others. You can't.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So thank you, my darling. And you guys, don't forget we have another great author. It's going to be hard to top this call, but I think that you'll get a different perspective from our author tonight. It is actor, comedian, and author. He's also a relationship expert too, but he does it from a comedy base, so it's going to be really, really good. It's Vanessa Mitchell, and that's going to happen at 6 p.m. Central and 7 p.m. Eastern. So I've already got emails about collaborating, so I guess we'll just go ahead and talk about it probably on the next call. But if you want to find out more information about being in the book with me, it is beinthebook2@gmail.com. Like I said, this is just an initial offering. We'll open it up to the masses shortly. But if you are on this call and you are interested, just shoot me an email and we will get back to you. So thank you, Afriel. You are always the best. Thank you, Zara. And thank you guys for being on the call. We will see you in a few hours.
Thank you. Bye, y'all.